Hi everyone, this is ABC News. We are live from Belfast, the capital of Northern Ireland, where Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are greeting the crowds of the city, where we have just been told just this morning that the two were making their first joint visit here in Northern Ireland. It's the last part of the UK that they've been yet to visit. They're doing this British tour ahead of Meghan becoming a British citizen. We don't know when that's going to happen, but perhaps before or after the wedding. And here in Belfast, Northern Ireland, still simmering tensions here. So because of security, this was a secret visit and it was unannounced by the palace until just this morning. So everyone here is really excited and taken by surprise to have Harry and Meghan come and visit the town. We're in central Belfast right now, and we are just on one of the main streets outside a pub that they've just been visiting, and they've just had a private lunch. So they're outside just meeting the members of the crowd who sat here in the rain, waiting for them to come out. So I don't know if you can see just behind me here, the Crowd Liquor Saloon. This is a Victorian-era gin palace, and it's one of the most famous pubs here in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and it was restored, I think, in 1885. So that's where they have just had their lunch. We're told that the lunch they had was Irish stew. What else? Classic stew with meat and vegetables, lamb chops and potatoes. And we've heard that Prince Harry may have had a pint of Guinness. Meghan Markle may have had a half pint. So today they are touring some of the best-known sites of the city in Belfast. This morning they visited a peace initiative that Prince Harry set up last year in September. So it's just kind of getting young people involved as ambassadors of peace. So they touched down in London this morning and they went straight to that first engagement. The second engagement, just behind me, is where they went for lunch at the Crown Saloon. And next they're going to visit a science park and talk to some entrepreneurs and innovators. And then their final trip today on this busy day, just a day trip for them in Northern Ireland, is going to be the Titanic exhibition, so where, of course, that ill-fated ship was built before it sank in 1912. So they're going to go off to that later. But there are quite a lot of people here, given that it was a surprise secret visit that was only announced this morning at about 10 o'clock this morning. So there's lots of people excited about this and waiting to see. I don't know if you can see just over my shoulder. Let's get the camera in to see. They're just working their way through the crowds, shaking people's hands. Lots of people trying to take pictures with them. So since we've last seen Meghan and Harry for their most recent engagement before this, we've learned a few more details about the wedding that's come up. We now believe that those hotly desired invitations are now in the post, some 600 invitations for the royal wedding. A calligraphy printing company that have a royal warrant to the Queen were very excited to announce that they had been commissioned to design the invitations, which are now in the post. 600 guests will be at the ceremony at Windsor Castle, that's St George's Palace, at noon. And then a further 200 people are invited to the private reception afterwards at Frogmore Hall, which is on the Windsor Castle estate. So those golden tickets are now out in the post, and we've also learnt a little bit more about the cake that's going to be there in the royal wedding. A little bit break of a tradition, actually. It's a tradition that the cake is usually fruit cake, and Harry and Meghan are putting their own stamp on their wedding by going for a lemon and elderflower cake, which they've commissioned from a friend of Meghan Markle's, actually, called Claire Ptak. So we've seen pictures of that. Looks delicious. It'll be covered in flowers, and we've shown some pictures of that on our social feeds, if you haven't seen already. So there's still more details that we're still looking to learn. about the wedding. We don't know about the hen party, the bachelorette party. We don't know what's happening about Prince Harry's stag do, but we should be hearing about those hopefully in the coming weeks, as we've now got less than 2 months left to go before the big day arrives. So Harry and Meghan just working the crowd a little more. They've gone a little past our vantage point. So while we still hear sort of the energy of the crowds, let's have a chat with Omid Scobie, who is our who's our royal expert and author. So Omid, we've learned a few more details recently about the wedding.
Yes, yeah, we had cake details released at the start of the week. They picked a Californian-based cake designer called Claire Patak that Meghan actually knows from back in her days living in LA. Claire trained under a famous chef called Alison Baker at a restaurant called Chez Patisse. And Meghan actually wrote an opinion piece for Glamour magazine some while back saying that Alison was one of her kind of, I guess, girl boss crushes, you know, and so she'd met Claire through her, and obviously Claire moved over to London, started up her own bakery, and became a big success. Meghan actually wrote about it, called her treats, sweet pieces of heaven or something like that. So they picked a rather unconventional, more modern type of cake for the wedding. And then we also saw invitations finally designed and go out to 600 friends and family members for the church, and about 200 for the evening reception as well. So it's all coming together for them.
So we've had two new pieces of information. They've broken with tradition with one of them, with the cake.
Yeah.
They've chosen to commission a woman who Meghan is friends with and knows, another American in London. And they've also gone for tradition with the company that did the invites already have a royal warrant, and they're long-standing sort of clients of the royal family is a long-standing client of theirs. So do you think that the royal wedding is going to have a mix of, we still don't know what the dress is going to be like?
But what was really interesting about the wedding invites is that the ink cues are actually produced by an American company. So I think they're really thinking of everything down to the last detail of how they can kind of blend their two very different backgrounds together on the day, and I think that's going to make it really interesting. I think I said before, you know, this isn't a royal wedding by numbers. They're just kind of doing it as they want.
So if we're to think about that in terms of, because obviously the biggest thing we're speculating about is the dress. So if you were to think that they were wanting to make some kind of, not maybe a statement, but trying to blend in the two cultures, British and American, particularly as Meghan might still be an American when she gets married. She might not become a citizen until afterwards. So what do we think it's going to be Ralph and Russo, or do we think it might be someone else that has sort of a blend of the two nations?
Well, as we know, the designer was picked a couple of months ago, and I'm told that Meghan made a decision based on her fashion interests, not kind of paying tribute to a British designer or an American designer. So if it happens to be a British designer on the day, it's a pure coincidence. Obviously we have front runners, Ralph and Russo, a London-based designer. We also have Erdem, who often in the frame for this wedding dress, who's a Canadian and British designer. So there's all kinds of names in the mix, but it is kind of shrouded in secrecy at the moment. Those fittings are only taking place at Kensington Palace, nowhere else.
Well, a huge, hotly guarded secret, and if the secret lasts until that long, it will be quite a feat keeping that together. So what do we know about their schedule between now and then? We've got less than 2 weeks before the big day. Do we know anything about what they're planning to do?
Well, between now and May 19th, we're going to see a couple more of these sort of city visits in the UK. I think Meghan said really early on that she wants to see sort of every single corner of the country and really learn about sort of the philanthropic landscape, but also just kind of learn a bit more about the culture. You know, we saw them just inside the Crown Bar, you know, getting to know the sort of like Northern Irish kind of cuisine and drink. But I
get us some potatoes and stew.
Exactly. Doesn't get more traditional than that. And I think for the next couple of visits, we might see them in Manchester or Newcastle, places in the north of the UK that we haven't seen them yet. Harry's obviously involved in a number of organisations in Newcastle. He's been involved in a youth crime initiative. So I'd imagine that Meghan, being one of the issues that she wants to focus on later on, will be kind of coming to visit those charities too.
Cool. Omid, thank you so much for joining us. So we don't know if you heard just then, but there's lots of anxious people on the other side of the road. So because Meghan and Harry have gone opposite, they're hoping that the royal couple will stop by and say hello to them. So let's go and chat to a few people. Hey guys, how long have you been waiting here this morning?
Well, I just came off the train from Bangor and didn't realise that this was going on.
Because it was secret, wasn't it?
Yes, it was definitely a secret. We came from Downpatrick and went to Helen's Bay and walked to Bangor and then got off.
So how long have you travelled to get here today?
Well, we came into Belfast and on to Bangor to do walking and came back and didn't realise this was going on. So it's a lovely bonus.
Okay, so what do you think of Harry and Meghan?
Oh, fantastic. I'm just hoping to get a wee glimpse and get a picture.
Yeah, definitely. Nice to meet you. Hi guys, are you looking forward to seeing Harry and Meghan today?
Very much so.
Were you completely taken by surprise this morning?
Yeah, we didn't know until 1 o'clock that they were coming to Belfast. So
I just walked out of the bus station, and I was like, what's going on?
Did you cancel your plans? Did you have anything to do?
well, we're going shopping, so we had the shopping can wait because it's not every day you see Prince Harry and Meghan. So
Were you expecting them to come to Northern Ireland at some point?
at some point we were, yeah, very much so. But it is great to see them, and it's great to see all the crowd. And I have to say the Malden were very hospitable and gave us all tea to warm us up.
Work, so that's why I rang work and I said I'm not coming in for an hour.
I think they could probably understand that. What do you think of the fact that they've just had a very Irish lunch inside? They've just had Irish stew
It was lovely. It is lovely because the Crown is brilliant. It's a lovely atmosphere.
So do you have plans for the big day of the royal wedding? Are you guys going to watch it or are you going to celebrate?
Telly. Just probably watching telly. Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
So I don't know if we can see if they're going to come back in this direction at all. I think they have come down onto the other side of the road and will come and see a bit more of the people. It's raining at the moment, and so there is. It's likely that the crowds are going to dissipate for now. But so their next engagement, they're going to go to a science park, and then they're going to go and visit RMS Titanic Belfast. So a busy day. They'll be flying back to London tonight. And with less than 2 weeks to go before the wedding, we'll probably see another couple of royal events before any more big details come out. But thank you so much for tuning in from all of us at ABC here in Belfast. Thanks for joining us.